Big thanks to all the members for directly supporting my content here on the platform. And remember, if you want to support as well, the missile knows where the join button is at all times. Hello pilots. Today I'm back with another Su-30 gameplay for you, since it's what you all want to watch. I've already made an introduction video about this plane. It was added in the last update. If you want to know the details, it's worth checking out that first Su-30 video after this one. Usually, when the game goes through an update, there's a period of imbalance, and first impressions about a vehicle or a new mechanic aren't always solid, simply because people are still learning how to use and deal with these new things. So today, and over the next few days or weeks, I'll be uploading more content about this machine, which is the new toy of the moment. Let's get started. As always, after the start of each match, I'll be showing the initial path I take. If you want to skip ahead using the chapters on the timeline, feel free. Just a reminder that usually before more complex matches later in the video, I always include a simple match first that summarizes equally simple but important concepts, like neutral positioning or initial routes. These are usually crucial concepts that also determine your overall results for an entire match. Some high-flying targets are already pretty close. I probably can't win a fight at this distance against them yet. On the other hand, I have clear kill opportunities against the low-flying targets, and that's going to be my focus. I'm in a complex play where mastering positioning is crucial for success. Otherwise, one of two things will happen. Either you'll mess up your positioning for the rest of the match, or you'll take a missile to the face because we're not putting any pressure on the high-flying players. Watch closely. I'm going to push as far as I can to fire, always keeping a visual eye on missile launches. Making the turn at the right moment now is what determines whether I die, survive, or get a frag. Now my goal is to make an aggressive circle back toward the enemies to create more attack opportunities. I'm also doing a wide extend to defend myself and create a safe distance that allows me to react if necessary. Even though everything seems calm, I can't just point the nose of my plane toward where I think the cluster is. I have to objectively try to flank. Here, I'm in a completely neutral position, not defending or attacking. If an enemy slips up, I can attack and easily defend myself while staying relatively unexposed. I'll only expose myself if all the enemies turn into a Minecraft mob and aggro on me. It's not like that happens in every match, right? Now the enemies are starting to get spotted one by one. We already know where they are, thanks to the brave allies who volunteer their lives to make that happen. We can continue our attack and in fact spam everything we've got. This is going to be an average Su-30 match. The team that clusters too much in bad positions is going to get wrecked. I don't know how long the same mistake will keep being made, but our job isn't to question it, it's to take advantage of it when it's convenient. This is an average Su-30 match. Of course, I'm not saying you'll guarantee an ace every time, but you can play safely without dying and get at least one kill per match. You just need to do the bare minimum. Now let's move on to the real show, truly exciting matches. Second match, I began with a pretty aggressive positioning, just like in the first match. But abruptly, I switched to a defensive stance because I saw the need to hold a defensive position in the middle of the map. Now, the initial plan is to fire a few missiles at the planes in BVR to make them turn around and strip away some of their advantage. The reason for this is that, for some reason, there are several allies flying low and aggressively on the right side of the map, about 6 or 7 of them, against an entire enemy team. Many of them are Hornets, so you don't need to be a veteran to know that's a terrible idea. They're probably going to get crushed over there. My goal is to try to frag whoever advances during the mid-game, since we won't have much offensive capability. The enemy team is playing spread out, but they're working together, covering each other's weaknesses. This also means almost no one on their side is getting themselves killed, unlike nearly half of my team at the start. Not to mention that the other part of the team, who didn't play aggressively on the right, simply played brainlessly, spamming all their missiles and then heading back to the airfield. Nothing against people who do that, but in this match, they just made terrible shots, so not even that is justifiable. The match started as a complete disaster. If we don't lose this match, it'll literally be a huge victory. Now, I don't have many options other than taking advantage of every attack window, although I can't play by attacking alone against 10 players. I have to rotate very carefully. Surprisingly, the only place where I'll have room to fly and defend myself is toward their airfield, since the airspace near my airfields is heavily contested and flooded with enemy aircraft. There's still one guy rearmed back there, and I can't just ignore him and focus on those already in the fight. That guy will gain a lot of positioning, and dealing with him later will be a nightmare. I have no choice but to take this fight. The ones already on the battlefield are worn out and will end up here sooner or later. My death is just a matter of time, and I need to fight until it happens. Of course, I also activate a random order to act as an anti-blind hunt. Any extra time I can buy to deal with this F-15 will be crucial. Funny, now he's just going to run. I think he spent way more than one missile on us. Otherwise, he'd take this fight. As soon as I get close to him or something more interesting happens, I'll be back. Looks like he really did spam all his missiles at me. That's all the man knows how to do, fly straight and press fire 8 times in a row. Unfortunately, I can't just fly straight and show him the weight of the consequences of his own actions, because there's an airfield with next-gen X++ Rolands. But I'll stay here until I get an opportunity. He won't dodge forever. Apparently, he's going to try to run to the next airfield, or toward his allies. Interestingly, they're taking way too long to show up. Maybe the lack of a blind hunt and his strong tunnel vision really bought me the time I needed. The aspect just needs to be good enough for me to fire a top-down missile. Look at this 9M, man. In real life, a 9X can miss a Su-32 under ideal conditions. But in War Thunder, IR missiles in frontal aspects are almost impossible to dodge, totally balanced and healthy. Despite all the difficulties, it's still possible to dream. Eight frags in a match that was supposed to be just a humiliating defeat. I think that's good enough, right? Let's move on to the next match. This map has a pretty complex strategy, but to summarize for our side, it's worth just staying on defense. The other side has a lot of different flanking and cover options, so if we maintain good positioning, we can just keep fragging the players who push forward. It's pretty fun, and that's going to be my plan for this match. Of course, everything can change depending on the behavior of my allies and enemies. Keep in mind that I'm in a Su-30, so BVR kills are for extraordinary occasions. What I'm doing here is preventing an enemy from having too many attack opportunities. That guy fired way too early, and we still managed to defend ourselves kinetically with ease. I'm just going to fire at another guy who's trying to get the same attack condition and start my defense. People keep making the same mistakes, trying to fly in areas that are bad for multipathing. This map has very few spots where low-altitude flying is reasonable, and as long as they don't understand that, you can just keep fragging everyone the same way I'm doing. Here, planes with good radars and a decent number of missiles are absolute monsters. It might look like the Mika is going to hit me, but it doesn't have enough energy to be a real threat. I just need to extend and wait a bit before continuing my attacks. There's absolutely no need to make a turn right now. That's it, 7 frags just by doing the basics, without any particularly impressive gameplay. Let's move on to the next one. For the 4th match, we're back on the same map as the 2nd match in the video, but this time both teams played in a more normal, common, decent way. Well, I'm not sure how to define it, but it wasn't the horror of that previous defeat. The fact is, I was able to play with a clear head, without any over-the-top strategies. All the enemies were heavily concentrated on the right, so I just wanted to fire a missile or two at anyone who tried to play aggressively in front of my team, and then wait for the push from the group on the right. This is what happens when everyone wants to fly in the same spot without each having a specific defensive or offensive role. That's why it's not enough to just observe the enemy's positioning. You also need to pay attention to your team's positioning. Otherwise, you'll get crushed by someone who just flew straight the entire time. And the most interesting part is that I didn't fly any more advanced than the people who flew low. But for those with a bad strategy, a simple and solid approach is all it takes to bring about their defeat. That's it for me today. Hope you enjoyed the content. Drop a comment down below with your thoughts on what we talked about. Do you agree or disagree with what I said? Your feedback is super important to me. The video ends, but the chat keeps going. Thanks for watching and supporting my work. Karma out.